Welcome to Volume 4 of the Filipino Martial Arts. I'm Dan Inosanto, and on this tape we will cover the long and short drills. Long and short training is a stick and dagger method. It's commonly called espada daga, alicia daga, or gurati daga. This tape will include some training drills in disarming. It will also include some solo training. Thank you very much.
This next section in the Filipino martial art is often called long stick, short stick, often called espada daga by the Spanish. In ancient times, I'm told that they had a sharp point here and a sharp point here, either a brass point 3 to 6 inches or a fire-hardened point at the end. But we refer to it sometimes as alicia baral or espada daga or long and short training. Okay? So it's usually a long stick supported by a short stick. There are many ways they practice this. Sometimes they have a flat wooden stick and a regular stick anywhere from 28 inches to 36 inches in length. Sometimes in some systems they use a 24-inch stick also. Another way they practice this long and short is that they have a dagger in one hand and the stick is in the opposite hand, sometimes in a reverse position, sometimes in a position in a regular grip. The other way, in the Batangas province, sometimes the balasong is held in the left and the stick is held in the right. These are all the different ways they practice the long and short method. In other areas of the Philippines, they have a flat stick. It could be any width, sometimes 2 to 3 inches or 4 inches in length. And this is the other way they practice the long and short method. Again, very similar, but the wood is quite different. This is bahi, and they practice it in this manner. Sometimes they even have a shape of a sword, what they call the espada, which is metal and supported by a real dagger on the other hand. The shape of the sword when they practice this doesn't matter. This is a compilon and is supported by a short dagger. Again, the grip could be either way, but again, it is a long and short method, a sword and dagger method. The shape of the sword again could be this shape, a bolo-shaped blade, and supported by the dagger. In southern region, the kris is used. Sometimes the kris is used with the shield, or it is supported by a short implement we call the siko, or the jabang in some areas of the Philippines, particularly in the southern region. But in all, these are the way the short and long method is practiced in the Philippines. In most systems of Kali, they always start with the long and short training, regardless if it's any one of these different ways that they would practice the art of the long and short. Okay, as I mentioned before, there are many ways you can practice this. You can have a stick, you can have a dagger. The dagger can be in a down position, it can be in an up position. There are many methods, there are many styles. Sometimes they're very contradictory to each other. So what I'm going to show you is just a very basic system of progression that you can apply and learn a little bit of what they call the long and short stick method. Okay? So I'm going to start off with a very simple coordination drill. There are 6 counts in it. You make an inward, you make a backhand, you make an inward, then you thrust, you backhand, and you palm up thrust. As I said before, this is not a technique, merely a coordination exercise. 2, 3, thrust, backhand, palm up thrust. I'll repeat again. 1, 2, 3, thrust, backhand, palm up thrust. You make an inward, make the backhand, you make an inward, you thrust, you backhand, and you palm up thrust. We'll repeat it again. Inward, backhand, inward, thrust, backhand, palm up thrust. Repeat it again. Inward, backhand, inward, thrust, backhand, palm up thrust. Meaning to say that if you hit the person's hand and you hit the head, okay, and you hit the head again, this would go thrust, backhand, and the thrust would be up here. This would be one of the meanings again. So they would actually hit this, they would hit the stick, hit the hand, thrust, backhand, thrust. I'm going to repeat it again. This is one of the meanings that you would have for that particular drill. You would hit the stick hand, you'd hit the dagger, you'd hit the head, and the thrust, and the backhand thrust. So the drill again in slow motion goes inward, backhand, inward, thrust, backhand, palm up thrust. Inward, backhand, inward, thrust, backhand, palm up thrust. This concludes the first drill. The second drill is what they refer to as the 5 count. You do an inward, and you do a backhand, but you thrust, and then you backhand, and you palm up thrust. There are 5 motions again. That is an inward, that's a backhand, that's a thrust, backhand, palm up thrust. I'll repeat again, inward, backhand, thrust, backhand, palm up thrust. Inward, backhand, thrust, backhand, palm up thrust. Notice there's 5 motions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, the translation of that would be simply this. She would hit my hand on the first motion, hit my head on the second motion, thrust, backhand, palm up thrust. And repeat again. She would hit my hand on the first motion, backhand, the thrust, the backhand of the stick would be here, and the palm up thrust will be over there. Okay, I'm going to repeat that again. So in essence, that will hit my hand. You would hit the hand. The palm hit will be here, the thrust, the backhand, palm up thrust again. Let's repeat that again, okay? So you would hit the hand on the first motion, okay? The backhand would be here, and the thrust, palm, and hit. This could also be translated in this manner, that you would hit the hand on the first motion, you hit the dagger hand on the second motion, the thrust would be here, the backhand would be up here. Okay, I'm going to repeat that again, okay? Right, she would hit the hand on the first motion, hit this on the second motion, thrust, backhand, palm up thrust. We're going to repeat that one more time so that you see what we're doing. That's 5 counts. That's number 1. The hand would fly, okay? The dagger hand would be hit second, the palm up, and back in. Okay, let's repeat that one more time, okay? There are 5 counts. That's 1, they would hit the stick hand. 2, you'd hit the dagger hand. 3, the dagger would come in, backhand, palm up thrust. Okay? That is what we call the 5 count exercise. I'm going to repeat that 2 times so that you can see the motion again. That's 1, that's 2, thrust, backhand, palm up thrust. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Repeat slowly again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is what they call the 5 count exercise. These are not necessarily techniques, but coordination exercise, so you learn how to manipulate your dagger and your stick hand. Okay? We'll go to the next drill. This is often what we call the 4 count exercise. The 4 count exercise is simply, this is the inward, this is a thrust, this is the backhand, and up. Okay, that goes inward, thrust, backhand, palm up thrust. Slow motion again. Inward, thrust, backhand, palm up thrust. Inward, thrust, backhand, palm up thrust. In other words, you would hit the hand, back thrust, backhand, palm up thrust. I'm going to repeat that again, okay? In the first motion, you would automatically hit thrust, backhand, palm up thrust. Repeat it again. This is usually used best when the person does not have a dagger in the hand. So you would strike the hand, thrust, backhand, palm up thrust. Okay, I'm going to repeat that one more time. In that exercise, you would hit that hand, thrust, backhand, palm up thrust. Okay, that is called the 4 count. What I'm leaving out right now is a lot of the footwork. For everything that you can do on the upper level, you can also do on the bottom level. Okay, let's repeat that again. If you had that as an exercise, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice that when you make the inward, you move your body sideways so that the left shoulder is facing this way and the palm thrust is up. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now we have the 6 count exercise, we have the 5 count exercise, we have the 4 count exercise. At this point, we're going to what we refer to as the heaven 6 pattern. Now let's try to explain this to you. This is an inward. The low slash is down, the backhand, the thrust, the backhand, and the palm up. Heaven 6 pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Repeat again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, the drill again is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the heaven 6 pattern. Inward, backhand, backhand, inward, backhand, palm up thrust. Slowly again. Inward, backhand with the knife, backhand, thrust, backhand, palm up thrust. Inward, backhand, and so on. The exercise again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is so you learn your coordination, how to manipulate your baton and your stick. In essence, in reality, the inward would be here, the backhand would be here. The backhand would be over here, the thrust, the backhand, and the palm-up thrust. That is the translation of that particular drill. All right, I'll repeat it again. The inward would be here, the backhand would be here, the backhand would be here, the thrust, the backhand, and the palm-up thrust. I'm going to repeat that one more time. Okay, the inward would be here, and the backhand would automatically come. Okay, and the backhand would take the diagram hand and backhand, palm-up thrust. Okay, let's look at that again. A motion again. That first hit, second hit, third hit, fourth hit, fifth hit, sixth hit. Okay, all right. These are the basic coordination that you need before you even start on any type of technique. But the understanding of motion is very important. You notice in all these exercises, the stick started off on the right side. So now we're going to start off with the stick on the left side of the body. Okay, this is a 5-count exercise on the left-hand side. We call it Law 5. So that's backhand, thrust, backhand, palm-up thrust. And up with an inward. Okay, in slow motion again. You do a backhand, you thrust with the dagger for training, you backhand, you palm-up thrust, and you make an inward. Repeat again. You have a backhand, you have a thrust, you have a backhand, and a palm-up thrust. And with an inward. So in other words, in combat, you would hit here. You would thrust. You would backhand, you would palm-up thrust. Okay, in slow motion again. In reality, you would hit that hand once, you would thrust, you would backhand, you would palm-up thrust. Okay, so the drill again is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The meaning again would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Okay. Now you have the 5 count, and you also have a 6 count when the stick is on the left-hand side of the body. You go backhand, thrust, backhand, palm-up thrust, and then I try to stab down low. Then I come out with an inward. I'm going to repeat that again. You have a backhand, you thrust, you backhand, you palm-up thrust, you try to stab, they will match it here, and then you do an inward. Okay, repeat that one again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we'll repeat that again. Okay, it's tick starting on the left-hand side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we have the 7 count. You have a backhand, you have a thrust, you have a backhand, you have a palm-up thrust, you go down, you go up, and then you strike the inward. Meaning to say that if you're in close quarter combat and your action is fighting over here, you will try to stab high, stab low, stab high, and you break out to this range over here. Repeat again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and come out to this position again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and come out to this position again. Repeat again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and come out to position. These are the basics that you need. Again, I'm going to repeat that the progression and the method and the style in every Filipino martial art is different. This is, I found out, works very well with our students at our academy, so I'm using this progression. But there are many paths, methods, and progression in Filipino stick fighting. Okay, in previous tape before, you learn how to counter for counter. The sombrado motion actually is not really for fighting. It is mainly to identify motion of striking and identify motion of protecting. Okay, in slow motion, this is a sombrado. Okay, counter for counter for counter for counter. In reality, it will never go this long. Okay, notice that the range we're fighting is very close. When we break out into long range, we can be striking at various different patterns here, and then we would break into sombrado range. This is a very important part of your training. Then we break out. The breaking out pattern is merely to simulate long range going into close quarter. And breaking in and breaking out. Okay, that is very necessary before we proceed on any one of these tapes. Okay, now I'd like to just go down and break down technique. There are many various different techniques. When the stick is striked at any particular angle, it could be a number 1 angle, it could be a number 2, it could be a number 3 and 4, it could be thrusting, thrusting, overhead, thrusting, downward slash, upper slash, horizontal slash. It can be done with ticks, high and low, with ticks high and low this way. And the dagger is supported either thrusting high, thrusting at this side, thrusting low, thrusting in the middle. So the dagger is used in many different ways. So I'm going to start off with a very basic program which we feel works at our academy. Your first 2 in any level in the sombrada is really a hit. However, if you hit the hand, the training session would end. So what we do is we hit the top of the stick. If we have a wooden stick, we hit here. The dagger doesn't make any difference if the dagger is held in this position. But I'm going to start off with the basics over here, that it can be here, it could be here, it could be on the stick. Okay. For the purpose of training, your hit will be here. So if in simulation, if you block with a roof block and the dagger comes low to the 5 sector, we hit the hand. Okay. Again, that's a roof block and the dagger is low, we hit the hand. Repeat again. Roof block, the dagger is low, we hit the hand. If I start off with a high wing, which is this block here, and the dagger is low, we hit the hand. I'll repeat again. This is a high wing block. To the low thrust, we hit the hand. We can start off with the umbrella. Notice the hand hit is here, and you strike. Okay, I'll repeat again. The umbrella is strike here, and hit again. If we start off with the inward protection, which is hand here, the dagger sometimes can be blocked, and then the dagger is thrust. Okay, repeat again. If I come here and she blocks, the knife hand is thrust here. Slow motion again. The hand is hit here, the dagger is thrust here. In slow motion, 1, 2. Repeat again. 1, 2, and strike. These are the basics. All right. Now, many times during the application, the stick is striked. Sometimes we snaked it by coming out to this position. I'm going to repeat that again slowly, okay? When you block here, if the hand is not hit, sometimes the slash is here, sometimes the slash is here. Sometimes it is delivered with a thrust first and then snaked out. When the dagger is delivered low, it is hit and stripped. Okay, in slow motion again. All right? Many times in close quarter combat, there's a slash here, or there is a thrust here, okay, or the slash is here. When the dagger is stripped, sometimes out, the hit and the strip is here, and the throw is preceded. Okay, I'm going to repeat that one more time. All right? At this point, during the snaking position, sometimes you strip it out this way. The dagger hand is hit with the stick, and the thrust is into the abdomen, and the strip is here. Okay. At that point, if you look closely, sometimes you're able to strip the dagger hand out before the dagger hand comes. And then the strip is here. Okay. Again, many cases, when you snake it, you are unable to strip it. So the dagger hand goes here. I'm going to repeat that again. If you're unable to strip the dagger hand, you have to strike here. But at this point, you are not able. So the dagger hand must come here. That is one variation. Repeat that again. You are unable to strip it. The dagger hand is low. Repeat again. Striking, thrusting. Notice the pairing and the thrust here where the hand is locked up. Okay, I'm going to repeat that again. When you snake, you thrust, and the hand is caught. Notice how the hand is caught at that position. Okay? So again, the snake once, twice, and the hand is pull cubed down into this position. Okay. In slow motion, you watch closely as my partner will now snake it, bring it down, thrust, and pull the opponent through. And the pull cue is here. We're going to do it 3 times so you can see it slowly. This is the close quarter of stick fighting. Again, the snake is here. The bridge falls down. It hits the nerve on the wrist. The thrust is here. The winding is here. You pull down, and the pull cue goes through. Okay? Once again, right? The snake is here. The bridge comes up. The bridge lands. You thrust. You pull cue down and strike. Third time. Okay? Again, you snake. It's up. You drop it down. The thrust is here. This should end it. But for training, we like to train all the different variables. Now notice how she ejects the stick. Notice where the stick would hit. Notice where the dagger would lean through and the dagger would be stripped. Okay, let's look at this again. In slow motion. The same technique, the lifting, the dropping of the stick, the thrusting. It should end there. But the slash is on the neck. The thrust is on the neck. It should end there. The dropping of the weight to teach you your balance, the stripping here, the turning of the dagger toward the opponent, and the stripping should be completed. Okay, let's try it for the third time so you have a basic understanding. All right, the snaking of it. Okay, notice that the stick is up. The dropping of the stick down on the nerve, it should end there. The thrusting here, it should end here. The slashing of the neck, the thrusting of here, the dropping down, the stripping, the injection. Notice how her arm is bent, and this is stripped into the throat and is out. Okay, this is one of the close quarter techniques. There are many close quarter techniques. Let me try to explain this because this is an area in the Filipino martial arts that is so vast that it could even take as many as 7 years alone in just learning this aspect of the category. I'm going to do this slow. As again we said before, the dagger could be held like this and the dagger could be held like this. But we want to learn the principle. The principle of this, of the blocking, notice the hit. Notice the hit here. It could end right here because this could be completely stripped, and if the dagger came high, automatically you would parry, and the slash would be here, the strike would be here, and the hit would be here. Okay, well, we're going to repeat that again. Okay. At this point, you notice the hand position where the bang and the head hit or the forearm is hit, and it could be stripped, and the dagger could come completely out here. The backhand of the hit, the slash, the backhand, the palm down thrust. Okay, let's try it the third time. Same technique. The dagger hand can be held up. It doesn't really matter. See the hit here? And if the dagger came, right, notice the strip, the thrust, the backhand, and the palm up thrust. Okay. In many cases, the stick does not eject. So when you make the motion of this strike here, the stick comes in. At that time, you will trap the stick. Notice how the stick is trapped and that you have at your choice to do anything that you prefer. This could be a throw from that position if you prefer to throw the person. Okay, I'm going to repeat that technique up to that stage again. It doesn't matter if the stick dagger hand is held this way or with this hand. Okay, so the basics of this principle is if the stick does not come out, this thing is smacked. At that point, you will notice that you go right in that sector. Notice how at that point her hands are locked. Okay, this hand can be eliminated. This part of the body can eliminate it. This throw is ejected here, and the throw is delivered in that manner. Okay, once more again for the third time. Okay, when you strike over here, bang, you hit over here, again, it is done very quickly. See, it should end right here, and the throw is delivered here. You really don't even need, really, the dagger hand, because the same technique, by principle, will work with the single stick also. Only thing, we take this hand and we throw in that manner. Okay, I'm going to repeat that again, so that once you take the stick out in that position, okay, and you go here, the hit can be here, the knee can be here, the stripping of the dagger is here, and the throw is here. The third point over here. Okay. Now again, you'll notice that the object of the long and short is not necessarily that you're going to use the long and short, but you are learning the basic principles of Kali. Okay. Again, at this point, if you did not even have a stick, but you had the dagger, in essence, you would have the same principle using strictly the dagger. Only thing, the dagger hand will be here and the throw will be here. I'll do that 3 times so that you can see it. Notice that the block is here, which alleviates some of the pain. He might drop the stick here, so we don't know. For every technique, there is a counter technique. Okay, I'm going to repeat it again. The hit is here, this strike is here. You turn it around, and notice that the hand at that point, kicking can be occurred from here, elbowing can be occurred from here with the knife or with it by itself. If, in any case, in combat, if you happen to be struck, notice that you don't have to even have that weapon here, because you can come out and throw. Okay, I'm going to repeat that in slow motion again. 1, notice that there's a kick here. Again, notice the palm hit, notice the strikeout and slash, and the same throw can be ejected. Again, no weapon is used, right? Because see the hand position, the palm up, over here, and we'll come out. I'm going to move over here to this part of the stage, and we're going to do it at this part of the stage here so you can see it a little bit clearer. You move, you strike out. Again, notice again the position where the knife is if you had no weapon. Okay? So the principles of long and short is even if you don't have a weapon, you can still apply the technique. So the movements you use in the long and short, we'll go back to the original motion here, which is here. It comes from this motion of the stick. Okay. At this point over here, I'd like to go into some other variations of stick fighting. Many times in combat, when the strikes, the hit is here. In slow motion again. The stick is here. I'll show you from this part of the stage over here a little bit more. If you'd come closer. Okay, 1, 2, and the hit is here. Notice where the hit is. Repeat again. This is important. The hit is here. Notice that I move away and zone away from the dagger hand. So when I strip, I'm waiting for the dagger hand to strike here. At long range, I wouldn't use this particular technique. At close quarter, you have to use a different type of situation. Notice the hit is here. Notice that when I move closely, the hand can be hit if the dagger came now. Okay? Okay. Again, let's move over here so we can look at a different angle. Okay? The strike is here. Okay? As I switch, I move, and that dagger hand can be monitored. And you strip, and if the dagger came, you can be out here. And again, switching. Okay. Notice that right over here, this is where we apply sweeping type of procedures also. Okay, in slow motion again. When we strike, over here, the hit is hit, the thrust is here sometimes, the hand thrust here, the hand hit here. There are many variations depending on motion. And the stripping of the weapon is here. Okay, slow motion again. Right? We move to this position, the head is hit. Usually the thrust is given here. Notice where the hand is hit here because we monitor the motion of the hand many different ways. The stripping is here on the leg. If they're able to survive that, sometimes we move out into a little bit longer range and we strike at that position. This is why that motion of this motion that you had it as a beginner was very important. Okay? I'm going to repeat that again. Again, when you switch, you hit. This should do the job. This should do the job. But the training teaches us to flow irregardless if we are successful or unsuccessful. And the throw would be in that corner. Okay. Again, very similar to that particular one is when you snake this hit here, right? You deliver here. Notice where the knife is placed. Notice where the hit is. Notice the strip. The stripping of the dagger, again, will be here. Again, notice where the hand is being hit and ejected in that manner. Okay, I'm going to repeat that slowly again. The hit will be here. The strike will be here. The strip automatically can be stripped here or here. It doesn't matter. But even the hand by itself, automatically the hand is here. And the hand position smacking the thumb, ejecting the hand, moving the leg in here for different types of sweeps if you prefer. Okay. Okay. Okay, in many cases, after you learn the technique, you have to learn the counter. Okay, I'm going to do this in slow motion. Okay. When you snake, we had this previously. Notice where my hand position. At this point, she drops her stick. Usually the punch is given here. The knife is ejected and stripped here. Notice how she picks it up slowly and stripped out here, and her hand is here. That is just one of the many counters that you can do for that particular motion. And this sensitivity is very, very important, that you have to feel when to counter it. At that point right here is very critical. The punch, the stripping, out, and the thrusting. Again, the snaking. To counter it, hitting, stripping, and in. Okay, let's try that at a different angle. Okay. Again, snaking. Right at this point, the hitting, the stripping of the knife, and the striking. Slow motion. Again. Snaking the arm. Just as this is coming in, the hitting, the stripping, and striking. Again in slow motion. The snaking, coming in, hitting, stripping, and stripping out. This can also come here. You see, this can take you into empty hand arts. Okay, let's try that one again slowly. Again, stripping, snaking again, ejecting it with the hit, stripping, and the thrust is here. To counter it balance, this has to be here. To counter this should be here, this strike here, and the elbow should be in. Slow motion again. Okay, the snaking, snaking again, stripping it here once, twice, 3 times, dropping your hand down here at that point, stripping it. Here, striking. Slow motion again. 1, 2, 3. Hit, strip, in, out, the backhand, straight, and the elbow. That's just one of the many counters that can be done. Now let's look at this angle over here at what we refer to as an angle 4. On angle 4, you have to zone away from that particular dagger, and this hand will be held here to deflect it, and then pull it out and then strip. Let's look at it again. This is angle 4 again. The snaking process is really the hit on the hand. As you snake, you hit the hand, and you strip. Okay. Looking at this angle one more time. Okay. The angle 4 here is delivered here. In training, we hit the stick, but for combat or practical purposes, the hand is here. This hand can also be delivered here. The hit is here, and the strip is here. Okay, in slow motion again. This is disarming the angle 4. Notice where the stick is located and the strikes. Okay. Now, probably in training, you will receive the 4 very simply like that. Once again, notice that once you deliver, there is already striking the other hand on the opposite side. Slow motion again. Strike, hitting the opposite hand, and coming in. If in flow, you would do that same technique in this manner. See? Strike. Again in flow. Okay. For training, we like to hit strictly the dagger as you come in. Okay. All these different techniques, such as when you're in the flow, you have to be able to do these particular techniques in the flow position. Okay. Well, look at it again. In flow position. Okay. Many of the techniques, if I were to move into that particular technique in flow position again, the countering would be here. 1 hit, 2 hits, 3 hits, straight up, and I would go into this. So it never ends up the same way. You have to feel the energy in the flow. Okay. You will notice a lot of times at this point, sometimes thrusting occurs. Okay? The slow motion again, when I give her a roof block, when she does a roof block, thrusting will occur, okay, with the number 6 angle, okay? Or this is number 6. Notice where you pick it up. Okay? Slow motion again. When she does a roof block and she thrusts, you have to angle this way and still monitor where that other dagger hand is and come out. Okay? Again, when the thrust is delivered, you angle and you come out. Okay? Many times, when the thrust is delivered and this hand comes up, you can eject it in one motion. Okay? Again, when the number 6 is delivered again, or the thrusting motion, it's a strip. Okay? Once again, number 6, angle, you hear. Okay? Right? You will notice that a lot of times, if you were to block, and the dagger would come now, that this hand has to come over. Therefore, by stripping this, you automatically are here to eject it on the opposite side. Once again, very slow. Many times when the thrusting comes from the high line, this hand has to be prepared for it. So the stripping occurs again. If it would come in again, you would again strip it out. Okay? All right, right now I'd like us to go to some of the very basics that you would have in stick fighting. Notice that when the stick is delivered, the dagger will either come at the low line, hooking, horizontal, diagonal, and with the thrust, and overhead. Those are the various different lines, or if I were to strike here, you would have the dagger coming low. All right, so in this exercise, in the regular sombrada, notice that we block and we strike with the stick. We block, 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 we strike with the stick. Again, in slow motion, notice we block and strike with the stick. Now this exercise here is different in the event that I thrust first and then I strike with the stick. Notice it again in slow motion, okay, when we're moving, okay. That when I thrust, hit. That the dagger is thrust first, okay. Regular sombrada, thrust, hit, and come back. Again, slow motion again, okay. I thrust with the dagger, she blocks. I hit with the stick, she blocks. Okay? Very basic drill that they use, so that the reflex are being honed and drilled in that particular manner. Okay? Again, this isn't sparring, but it will teach you the mechanics. Notice that I'm shooting the high thrust with the dagger and then with the stick. See? Okay, again, when I thrust here and I give it here, notice that I drop the stick down low. As last time, in slow motion again, I hit here and I drop the stick low. I may hit the stick again, she has to block. So now she has the choice of attacking and striking with the stick. She will land the dagger on the stick for training and not on the person's hand. Okay, slow motion again. Okay, very slow so they can see the motion. You thrust high. Again, thrusting high, but dropping. Again, notice the position now. I strike with the stick. I strike with the dagger. I hit again. I drop. And in, the dagger can come any different level. So the exercise on this is that the dagger hits, the stick hits, the dagger hits, stick drops. Again, the dagger hits, hit. Notice the dagger's on that side now. So the exercise now is that you block, and the dagger will find its path to the body, which your training partner now has to deliver. Okay? Notice that when I block here, I strike, I drop it. Okay? Striking here, slow motion, and then dropping. Okay? We're doing this at about a middle speed and half speed, so you can just see where the angle of the dagger would come in. See? Notice the dagger coming any low, dagger here, okay, dagger hit here, drop, inside here. The dagger can come in any place that you so desire it to come into for the training method. Okay, this will give you the basic idea of block and hit training. Okay. All right. Many times during this, when you're here, you can end all your striking and hitting. If they were to strike again, see, again, you can end this by hitting. But the method we're going to do right now is learning how to capture the particular stick. Like she might hit with the stick once. Okay, I might hit here. She hits high. I might move out the bang and hit in this manner. So many of these different, stick and then go down low, you can pick it up. Okay, for instance, if I fit her in stationary position, she can strike here. Now notice again, she's going to snake this and come in and snake it in. Notice how she grips and controls and traps my wrist and my left arm. Okay, let's look at this again. When you block inside, there is a counterclockwise motion. If I came high, she would go clockwise on the motion, the rip or the tear, and the slice, and the motion would be here. Okay, let's repeat that again. You snake again, and you come out. Okay, now without the strikes, there would be a clockwise, counterclockwise motion with the dagger, and then a clockwise motion with the dagger. This is without the strikes, so you can interpret the motion better. Okay, so you have a snake, and then a clockwise motion with the snake. Now the dagger can come many different ways. It can come as you snake low. She would do the same technique clockwise and coming again. Let's look at it again very slow. You snake, you clockwise, and the dagger is delivered low. You come in. So this method, we nickname it counterclockwise with the dagger, clockwise with the dagger if it's high. Okay? Counterclockwise with the dagger, clockwise with the dagger. Many times now, when the motion is delivered and you do a snake counterclockwise, the dagger comes in this area. Now notice where the hit of the control of the hand is. Notice the strip again. Let's look at this very closely again. When you strike over here and the snake is delivered, notice that the dagger is held on this side. And the attack of this, now notice where the hand is. Okay, how the hit is already on the head, and the strip and motion is here. And always monitoring the hand, and the strip again is here, so the throw can be here, or on top of the neck, and here. Okay, let's look at this closely again. Okay, so you go counterclockwise with the dagger. You're just about to come up, and the dagger is delivered high. Notice the strip, hit, the elbow hit here. While he's still sort of groggy, you strip it here. Okay, let's look at one more time. Okay, clockwise, counterclockwise here. Okay, dagger's lifted up here. You move, strip, hit, the thrust, the hand is stripped, and that could be a throw here or above the neck, and the throw is delivered here. Okay. At that time, when this happens, using the same technique, and she delivers here and it goes over, okay, her stick can go on through both of the arms and tip it. Let's look at this again. Okay, slow motion. Back. Again, it is delivered here or delivered here. Okay, again, slow motion. The snaking. Notice where she leaves the stick down to set up that motion, to go in between the two arms and take it out. Okay, slow motion again. Right from here, the dagger is delivered here. The hand is pulled. It goes through both arms to tip the opponent through. Okay. Again, slow motion. One. Okay, comes through. Dagger delivered through, and hit. Stick is delivered through. Excuse me. Snake. Again, hit. Through and tipped. Okay, this can also be thrust at the neck as they're coming through the arm. Notice closely how it can get hit through here and then tip. Slow motion again. There's actually a thrusting motion here, and as it comes out here, hit. Okay, and slow motion again. Watch it closely how the snake goes here. The thrust is here, through the neck, and both the arms. It can be underneath the arm also. Notice the technique, they're very similar, but now it is delivered here. Okay, slow motion again. Motion, up, underneath the armpit, and delivered. Okay. Again, slow motion. Strike. Okay, hit. And strike. Okay, let's look at this again in slow motion. Okay. When the hand is delivered here in snake, and the hand is above, notice how I parry the hand and the dagger's here. It can come through the neck, and the thing could be here, thrown again. At the position again, right? You can be here. Notice how the knife traps in between the two arms and thrown. Okay. Many times the dagger is delivered here, and the knife is up. Notice how it bridges here. It can be underneath the armpit or through here for the throw. Okay. Again, slow motion. When you come over here, the dagger is lifted up. It can be supported. So the stick can be here, or it can be underneath the armpit, or on top of the armpit. Notice the three ports you can place it in this sector, or underneath the armpit. Slow motion. So if you circle here, many times it has to be supported with the stick. This can go here, or it can be here. And the stripping of the weapon can be here. Okay? Slow motion again. 1. Okay? Supported with the stick, placed with the knife here, and the throw is delivered here. Okay? Okay. Okay, what I'd like to do right now is, if you have to practice by yourself, I'm going to show you some drills that you can do solo training. These aren't forms, but these are just some exercises that you can do. All right, I'm going to start off with a downward figure 8. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3. Then we'll go into the 4 count, which is a horizontal blow, vertically up, horizontal. We thrust with the dagger, we backhand, we thrust. Again, slow motion, downward figure 8. 1, 2, 3. Horizontal, vertical, horizontal, thrust, backhand, thrust. Again, downward figure 8, 4 count, then move in. Again, downward figure 8, 3 times, or 4 times, or 5 times, depending. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Going into that pattern again and striking again. The pattern again at the end of the downward figure 8 is horizontal, vertically down, vertically up, back with the horizontal, or thrust with the dagger, backhand of the dagger, and the palm up thrust. Downward figure 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Back into that count. We call it the 4 count exercise because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and we go 5, 6, 7. Repeat. Downward figure 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Going into the pattern again. Okay, I'm going to do a couple of repetitions over here so you can see it. Okay, now we can do the same exercise, but instead of doing a downward figure 8, we're going to do the upward figure 8. Okay, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Repeat it again. 5 upper figure 8s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 count. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Again, slowly. Okay, that's the second exercise. We're going to the third exercise. We're going to use the abanico, which is up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go into the 4 count and continue the 3 count on the opposite side again. Okay, in slow motion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go into the 4 count. Come back again. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go into the 4 count. And continue again. Okay, there are many exercises like this in the Philippines, and each method has a little bit, or each style has a different way of approaching it. Now we're going to move the diagonal a tick, which runs in a line like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And moving in again. Come back, I'll repeat it again. Slow motion again. Then you have the redondo, not redondo, but the diagonal tick going the opposite direction, going in. Now we have the horizontal tick, which is horizontal here. Okay, these are the basic motions you might do in a practice. Okay, now we have the Floretti in slow motion. This is what it looks like. Okay, slow motion, half speed, and then going into it. Okay, Floretti again, 2, and coming out. Now the Floretti can also be at the 3 line also. The uppercut line, which is here. And now you just go into a free flow. You can face in many different directions. You can kneel.